Hello everybody, it's Simmo here. I hope you're all doing well. We've got some really exciting stuff to cover today. The Isle dev team has totally revamped their roadmap for the development of the Isle Evrima. We have so much cool stuff to cover in here, guys. I want to jump right into it. So first things first, guys, we've got a new addition to update number 2, the bleeding system. It reads here, blood is very important to the body. It delivers oxygen, nutrients to the organs, and removes waste. In the context of the game, oxygen delivery is the character's stamina, nutrient distribution is healing, and waste removal is stamina regeneration. The effects of blood loss comes in stages. At 30% blood loss, the situation worsens as the skin becomes pale and the heart rate increases. Beyond that, breathing worsens as stamina drops, and at 80% blood loss, losing stamina becomes deadly. At 100%, the heart can no longer pump blood and the body shuts down. Each stage of bleed drops your stamina, healing, and stamina regen. Get to safety and patch your wounds to stave off a slow demise. Very cool. This was totally out of nowhere. We saw that Amarok had been streaming this, but I didn't expect it to be right here in update number 2, which is really cool. I'm glad to see the mechanics are really starting to get fleshed out. That's going to be a big part of this updated roadmap, guys. We're going to see a lot of mechanics in here. But to continue on, we are also getting the flesh chunks in the game. Pieces of meat you'll be able to pick up off of carcasses. As it reads here in the description, ever found yourself with a carcass you're too small to carry? Ever been in a situation where there was only enough time for a quick bite? The flesh chunk mechanic will allow you to pull bite-sized chunks from corpses that you can then carry in your mouth for later consumption, a handy addition for snagging a quick meal while threats linger nearby. This is very much welcomed, and I know a lot of people have been really hyped about this, so this is going to be cool. I can't believe we're already getting all this stuff in update number 2. I'm really excited, guys. But that's not all. We got so much more to go over here. But that's really going to be it for additions to update number 2. We still are going to be getting the Carnotaurus, the Hypsilophodon, and the Stegosaurus. As we talked about in our previous video, the Stegosaurus was previously going to be AI, but it has been moved up to a playable. But the one thing that has changed is that there are no additional AI creatures being added here in update number 2. So we'll be talking a bit more about that later on in this video. Next, we have update 3. And while we still have the Dinosukis, the fish, and the Pteranodon coming in this one, it seems that they cut out the Suchomimus, and I think maybe another thing or two. This one's probably a little bit more disappointing. We were expecting update 3 to be quite a major one, but we are still going to be getting 2 of the most anticipated creatures for the Isle in update number 3. Again, the Dinosukis as well as the Pteranodon and the fish. In the description of the fish, it reads, these fish will swim together in small schools. They are startled by the presence of movement. Aquatic and semi-aquatic animals have a lower chance of disturbing them, and thus have an easier time getting within striking range. These are the fish juvenile, aquatic, and semi-aquatic creatures will primarily feed on. Attack into the school of fish in order to catch one, and there is a percentage chance on whether you'll be catching anything or not. The more suited the animal is for fishing, the higher chance of a likely fishing. And interesting in here, we see a shallows mini game in one of the fishing features, which I'm really interested to see how that turns out. But moving on, we also have the Dinosukis, whose description reads, you'll have reason to fear the depths with the addition of aquatic predators. Prowling the waterways, you'll want to be sure to take the utmost care, else you find yourself snatched up in the jaws of the terrifying Dinosukis. And I know this is probably the single most anticipated creature to be added to the Isle. People have been foaming at the mouth practically to get their hands on this creature, and once update number 3 comes along, I'm sure we're going to be seeing swamps just filled to the brim with these Croco boys. And then finally we have the Pteranodon. The Pteranodon's description reads, "Soar through the skies as one of the most majestic animals to inhabit the island. Whilst its fragile form is quote-unquote terrible in a fight, the Pteranodon is graced with the luxury of flight, allowing it to easily circumvent most threats. The Pteranodon's diet primarily consists of fish and scavenging from carcasses." Moving on to update number 4, we have some interesting additions here, my friends. So we're going to be getting a UI overhaul, which reads a complete overhaul of the in-game HUD to bring it up to date for our development needs, additional functionality, and user accessibility. This includes, but is not limited to, server information, admin tools, HUD indicators, and more. And I've been waiting for this one. I think it's more than appropriate for a total rework of the Isle to include a new UI, but that's not the most important thing in this update. We're moving on here to the perk system, which has been awaited on for so very long. The devs have been talking about this for ages, and here in the description it reads, as players progress to their various growth milestones, they'll have the option to select between a variety of perks designed to support a varied playstyle. This mechanic sets the foundations for further perk functionality, and with upcoming diet and elder systems, could be alluding to a way to become some of the most powerful creatures in the game. But we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Finally, in terms of mechanics for update number 4, we have fractures, and this will lead directly into the additional playable we'll get in this update. But let me read the description here. Fractures: snap, crackle, and pop. Fractures are going to be splintering their way into the game. Gone are the days of the so often infuriating bone break mechanic of old that was in many ways an automatic death sentence. Fractures have a range from mild to severe, hindering your character accordingly, but also have more ways to be both applied and mitigated than you've ever experienced, which is really exciting to hear. I've always really enjoyed the bone break mechanic, but yeah, there's never been any variety in it. It's always been you're either fine or your leg's like totally broke, and it's nice to see that there's gonna be a lot more in between, along with some ways to maybe help your leg heal faster. But that leads into the Pachycephalosaurus. I know so many people have been like, why doesn't Pachy have bone break? Well, you know what? Now it's going to. Known, or as the description reads here, known not just for its headstrong attitude, but its literal domed-shaped skull, this thick-headed herbivore can cause quite the dent. This makes the Pachycephalosaurus the perfect playable to make its Evrima debut alongside the fracture mechanic. So you guys have been heard, and Pachy's getting bone break, and I cannot wait to see this. While we only get one playable here in update number 4, it's a very exciting one with a lot of mechanics being either reintroduced or introduced for the very first time into Evrima. Now update number 5 here, which seems to focus on diets, starts with the diet system. And as the description reads, the diet system ushers in an entirely new way to play. The food you eat will not only vary in satiation, but also in effect, both good and bad. Growing at a steady rate will require your species to eat selectively and to travel great distances to find the best meals. Will you focus on maximizing your growth rate with a balanced diet, or do you prefer a more exotic diet that can lead to unexpected results? Again, they're being kinda cagey here, and I'm just gonna come out and say it. I think they're giving us some solid hints on how we'll finally be able to actually play as hyperendocrine strains in Evrima. Now, this is really exciting, but let's keep moving on here. The Gore System. The Gore System description reads, our gore features will include all the blood, viscera, intestines, and horror you can stomach. Or not, depending on your constitution. It's okay to look away. Now, many of us have gotten a chance to take a look at this. We've seen, you know, things like the different dinosaur species skulls that will accompany the Gore system. I'm wondering if they have anything hidden up their sleeve in terms of the quote-unquote viscera, but we'll just have to wait and see as this continues to get updated. But we have 2 additional playables here in update number 5. We first off have the Ceratosaurus, a quote-unquote stout carnivore, easily recognized by its distinct nasal horns, its astonishingly robust digestive system that allows it to feed upon the most putrid of carcasses without incurring any negative side effects. So that's really interesting to hear as well, guys. I'm sure if you've played Legacy Isle, you've seen how the bodies, the gore, can actually start to rot. And now that is actually going to have a purpose. There will be some dinosaurs that can stomach the rotten flesh, like the Cerato, and others who just simply can't. But we'll have Cerato as a carnivore and the Magyarosaurus, our first survival sauropod. The description for the Magyarosaurus reads, "This sauropod is able to eat food out of reach of other animals, allowing it to thrive in areas other herbivores wouldn't. Don't let its smaller size fool you. It has a disposition as unsavory as its taste." Now, a lot of people have been really skeptical about the viability of Magyarosaurus being a quote-unquote pygmy sauropod. It's actually only about as big as the Ceratosaurus. But the devs seem to have really been laying it on heavy that the Magyarosaurus here, or the Maggie, is going to have some awesome attacks and abilities to defend itself. But that does it for update number 5. And update number 6, Night Terrors, is going to be a favorite for many. This one is the one where we first get our introduction to the day-night cycle as well as night vision. Here in the description it reads, implementing the day-night cycle into Evrima alongside revamped night vision with a focus on keeping nighttime intimidating but also interesting and engaging to play through. This is probably one of the aspects of the Isle that receives some of the most criticism. People do not like the night vision as it currently is, and many just really do not like playing through the night, so I'm very interested to see how they intend to make nighttime and night vision better than its previous iterations. But that is not all here for update number 6. We also get our first look at the Venom/Poison mechanic, which reads, our full swing implementation of all things toxic. This feature is dripping with stomach-turning, damage-dealing, mind-altering nastiness. We recommend you choose your food wisely and huddle together when night falls for your own good. I find that mind-altering nastiness to be an interesting point. So, are there going to be some sort of hallucinogenics introduced in here? I think there just might be. Hold on 1 minute as we get into the playables that are introduced in this update. Update number 6 brings us 2 carnivores, the Troodon as well as the Dilophosaurus. The description for the Troodon reads, this nimble critter, while not particularly dangerous on its own, can become quite problematic for a wide variety of creatures when operating in a coordinated group through the use of their venomous bite. Keep your wits about you. Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. This creature is known to mimic certain noises. That is super interesting. So, is it going to be possible that we're going to be able to somehow, parrot other dinosaur calls and believe half of what you see? What does that mean exactly? Again, I think that many of these poisons or venoms are going to have some hallucinogenic effects. So that is definitely going to be interesting. And I think that leads more into what the Dilophosaurus has to offer, guys. Here for the Dillo, it says, significantly larger than the Troodon, the Dilophosaurus is a predator that favors nocturnal hunting. Equipped with exceptional night vision and a nasty venomous bite, which if inflicted after sunset, will leave you wondering what's real and what's not. Now, what does that mean exactly? After sunset? So if you poison something in the middle of the night, it's gonna have some sort of effect that causes you to question what's real or not. Again, hallucinations seem to be a major point when it comes to the Venom aspect that's gonna be coming in this update. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I think they're leaving a lot in the air up here for us to speculate on, and I am very curious to see where this goes. Alright guys, now moving into our last few updates here. We have update number 7, which is going to be introducing probably one of my favorite mechanics, the nesting and dimorphism update. The nesting mechanic, as stated in the description, male and female dinosaurs will be able to establish nests and incubate eggs, which you can invite your friends to spawn onto as hatchlings. A perfect mechanic to deploy alongside the egg-snatching Oviraptor. And it's not only the Oviraptor, but we'll get into that. Dimorphism will also be introduced in this update. Systemic differences in form between individuals of different sex in the same species. In the context of the game, this will result in aesthetic differences between the male and female. Now, as for the playables being introduced in this update, we have the Oviraptor and the Gallimimus. And as you guys have probably noticed at this point, all of the playables being added have some sort of connection to the mechanics also being introduced. Obviously, the Oviraptor, which is known as the Egg Thief, the description for it reads, one of the island's most colorful and infamous inhabitants, the Oviraptor earned itself the title Egg Thief for good reason. Preferences aside, the Oviraptor is an omnivore, allowing it to choose from a diverse selection of food sources, granting it a distinct survival advantage. Now, definitely it is a very beautiful dinosaur, and I gotta say, the feather mechanics, or the feathered dinosaurs that the dev team are working on, they have done really well with. I don't think I've ever seen feathers be so well represented in a dinosaur game. But the Oviraptor is not the only egg thief, apparently. The Gallimimus is also going to be filling that role. As the description reads, the Gallimimus relies primarily on its high speed and maneuverability to keep itself alive against pursuing threats. While its diet primarily consists of vegetation, the Gallimimus is an omnivore, allowing it to feed upon the eggs of other dinosaurs. So yes, the Galli and the Oviraptor are both gonna be egg thieves. And well, if you're gonna find yourself nesting, you better have a plan to deal with these two little miscreants. But moving on to update number 8, the last of the updates being laid out for us, we have the skin system, the customization finally. And for some reason, that came to mind when I was talking about the Kentrosaurus in the last one, and well, there it is. As for playables, we're getting the Kentrosaurus and the Herrerasaurus, along with the skin system here in update number 8. But first, let me read the description for the skin system. Here, you can customize your dinosaur with a different pattern and skin. The skin system will be an improvement on the legacy version with more nuance, clarity, and options, which is definitely welcomed. I am excited to see what that entails exactly. Now, as for the Kentrosaurus, the description says this small stegosaurian is shyer than its more robust cousin, but definitely no less formidable. Armed with a myriad of spikes, a whirl of its tail, or a well-timed shoulder check could spell a bloody demise for the careless, which is really cool, because I love that they're giving us, little hints on what kind of special abilities each of these dinosaurs are going to have, and it appears that the Kentro is not going to be shy about using those spikes. And moving on to the heavily revamped Herrerasaurus. This is going to be one of the most interesting, listen up. The description reads, the Herrerasaurus is one of the island's more colorful inhabitants. At first glance, it may not seem as threatening as some of the other carnivores, but is no less equipped to devastate the unsuspecting. If you find yourself in dense jungle, don't forget to look up. Now, I know a lot of people have really wanted to see a climbing dino, and I think we're finally getting that with the Herrerasaurus, guys. It appears that they're alluding to the Herrerasaurus having some sort of climbing ability, and I would assume they mean on trees, considering they mentioned dense jungle. So that is going to be really cool, and hopefully it won't stop at the Herrerasaurus, and maybe we could see some other creatures having climbing abilities as well. But that would do it for update number 8, the last one being fully laid out for us. Update number 9 is yet to be announced, and the final section here, we have ongoing content. It appears that AI is one of the biggest challenges the dev team is facing, and all of the AI have been moved over to ongoing content. But we also have a project of a smaller map here, which reads, we're going to be creating a smaller map to coincide with our small, though ever-growing, playable roster for Evrima. This will provide a landscape that is more easily traversed and will make encounters with other players much more numerous. Now, I would assume that this smaller map is probably the redesigned Thenya. Because that is generally the role that Thenya has always played. It's a smaller map that has a little more action because people are more likely to run into each other instead of the more realistic, very large islands that we have. There's some additional admin tools they're going to be working on, but they make it clear here that these will be probably implemented piecemeal. I won't spend too much time on this, as this is more something of interest to server owners or admins of servers. But we also have elite fish, and elite fish, these are a large fish that do not school. They require pursuit to catch and are a prize for any creature capable of tackling them. These are fish adults. Large-scale animals will want to feed on these, you know, probably like the Suchomimus and the Spinosaurus. Smaller creatures will not be able to catch these quote-unquote behemoths. And as we can see here, we got the channel catfish as well as the ancient fish, the coelacanth. Now, probably the most interesting thing here in the ongoing section is the Elder system, which I am incredibly hyped for. Let me just read the description on this for you guys. Elders are larger, more powerful variations of the adult stage of a dinosaur. They are only accessible by following certain diet and perk pathways. While elders start off stronger than the highest tier adult of their species, over time they depreciate in strength until time releases them from their reign. You may choose to embrace death and die with a bonus you can apply to that species for later on playthroughs, or, depending on your species, you could forfeit the reward, deny the Reaper for a time, and extend your reign as something far more terrifying. And what else could they mean other than the hyper strains? I'm guessing if you reach Elder for the Giga, Spino, T-Rex, Carno, and clearly here we see a Utah Raptor Elder. I'm guessing we'll also get our Hyper Utah eventually. But this is so exciting, guys. We're finally seeing the game begin to take shape, and the dev team has a much better idea and a much clearer plan on how they intend to move forward. And I only hope that these updates can continue to be rolled out in a timely fashion, because as you can see, they are definitely packing in less into each update. So hopefully they can come in more frequently. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. That's my breakdown of the brand new roadmap. If you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I'm also going to be making a video covering the dev blog that just came out, which gives us further insight on to what the dev team is currently working on and exactly what we're going to be getting to see in the next update. For example, we get to see the Carnotaurus' special attack, we get to see the Stegosaurus impale a Utah raptor on its tail, some really cool stuff. So make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be there when that video comes out, which will be shortly. But thank you all again so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you want to discuss more about these updates coming to the game, be sure to head down into the comments section and keep the comments civil. We all care very much about this game, and I'm excited to continue to see how things develop. So thanks again for watching, guys. Love ya, appreciate ya. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.